the best player on Indiana's team from last year. 16 points a game, and this season, going to play a little bit at the point.
So Tennessee will start things off. Jasmine Powell running the point guard position. She has taken over that role. Transfer in from Minnesota.
We're going to see Indiana in a gap, man-to-man defense. The main objective is to keep the ball out of the paint.
And that's exactly where Tennessee wants to take the basketball. Rickea Jackson's jumper is off. Rebound by Powell. Back into the hands of Jackson.
An offensive rebound already for the Lady Vols. That's a focus for Kelly Harper.
This is one of the top rebounding Tennessee teams in the nation last year for Tennessee. They got to get that mentality back. Shot clock winding down. Jordan Walker misses and into the hands of Mackenzie Holmes. You see the starting five lineup for Indiana. They've got experience with Grace Berger, but Mackenzie Holmes down low is a player to watch too.
Well, this is a post player, Mackenzie Holmes, that has the ability, yes, to get it done in the paint, but she can step out, score as well, and right off the bat, we've got Grace Berger. I tell you, watch her. She was a scoring threat playing off the ball last year. Now she starts with the basketball at the point position.
Tess Darby over on the wing. You see Tennessee's starting five. Again, no Jordan Horston available today, but she should be back soon. Jasmine Powell with the three!
Yeah, Jasmine Powell coming in, running the point, and being that outside shooter, she's going to have to be able to knock down shots to open up the paint.
Grace Berger coming off the screen from Holmes, decides to pull up, and even though she's running the point, she's not losing that scoring mentality.
And that's a good sign for Indiana. You know, Grace Berger, I think that she's on the lineup of Indiana that could be a WNBA draft pick. I think Berger could be that. In the WNBA, a prime position coaches and GMs are looking for are point guards.
Chloe Moore McNeil kicks back out to Berger. Holmes is battling inside against Tamari Key. They'll give her the basketball. Trying to pivot her way around Key. It's hard to do at 6'6". It's going to be Tennessee ball. It was almost a week ago, Tennessee opened up the season on the road against a ranked Ohio State team. And Tamari Key, who's such a big piece for the Lady Vols, she got into foul trouble early in that game.
And she can't afford to do that. I mean, with her offensive production, as it's progressed from her freshman, sophomore, junior, now in her senior season, the Lady Vols need her on the floor.
Rebound into the hands of Jordan Walker. Powell with plenty of time for take two. Nailed it. What an addition Jasmine Powell has been, really owning her role as the point guard after 3 seasons at Minnesota. Berger finds herself open, crushed it.
We got a shootout.
I know.
In the introduction, there was a lot of smoke happening when they were introduced to the Lady Vols. Well, it's hot in here. It may be cold outside.
Sarah Scalia comes out with the basketball, also a transfer from Minnesota. Her, along with Jasmine Powell, were teammates last year for the Golden Gophers.
So look at Rickea Jackson. Rebound. This is the 4 on the floor right now. Breaking the press.
Tess Darby, Tennessee's best three-point shooter, takes the mid-range shot. Scalia. Holmes was waiting under the basket, and she just got herself to the free throw line.
One of the things that Kelly Harper was happy about was the spacing of the Lady Vols. And right there, Jasmine Powell, after the miss, she spaces out again and able to knock down the 3. Getting offensive rebounds, key for the Lady Vols. And that right there, knocking down the 3 ball, that's what is the key element for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Grace Berger can certainly do that. This Indiana team in their opener against Vermont hit 12 three-pointers. They had 5 against UMass Loyal in their second game of the season.
Courtney, check this out. Tennessee already gone to their bench. Marta Suarez and Jasmine Franklin in the ball game. So really keeping fresh legs on the floor for the Lady Vols.
Tennessee has a deep team, their largest roster in Tennessee history at 16 players. So Kelly Harper, She's got some options.
She's got options, but she's got a lot of decisions that she's going to have to make in deciding like who to give minutes to. You want everybody, if you earn your minutes, you get out there, but there are only so many minutes in a game.
Sydney Parrish has also checked in for Indiana. Hoosiers with a little bit more of a bench this year than in previous.
Well, and what Sydney Parrish brings after spending 2 years at Oregon, she brings a lot of maturity on the floor. She's very vocal and a toughness Terry Moore loves.
Foul was called on Lily Meister, number 52 of Indiana. Kia Jackson shooting right over Sydney Parrish.
That's what I'm talking about, of what Rickea Jackson can do, going one-on-one. And it's not just outside taking it off the bounce, but she can take you down low and post up.
Grace Berger with the shot fake. Kelly Harper wanting the walk. And there's a travel by Sydney Parrish. How different is the personnel around Rickea Jackson here compared to Mississippi State when she played there?
Length.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a much taller team. You ask her what was the difference between being in Knoxville and Starkville, what's the first thing she said?
There's a mall.
There's a mall. A girl wants to do some shopping.
How about that take? Straight to the mall.
Kelly Harper, how does she describe her? Smooth. You've got to defend her facing up, and then she's got that quick first step to the basket.
Tennessee switching, and Jasmine Powell almost had a steal from Grace Berger. The floater won't go. Jasmine Franklin crashing the glass. Marta Suarez in the corner, in and out. Chloe Moore McNeil, the Tennessee native. And she is rejected by Jasmine Franklin. It's a very special game, a Tennessee homecoming for a trio of players. High school teammates reunited when we come back. Greenfield High School in the house. A little reunion from the 2018 state championship team, the Lady Jackets. Tess and Edie Darby were on that team, along with Chloe Moore McNeil. Now, this community, about 2,000 people, won the 2018 state championship. In 2020, they went 34-0 with this team. Shout out to the watch party. There's a watch party in the high school gym tonight, watching these high school teammates play each other. And there's two of them, Tess Darby and Chloe Moore McNeil.
And they go all the way back to when they were elementary school, 7 and 8 years old. They played the Little Stingers.
The Little Stingers.
That's the build-up to the Yellow Jackets. That's the mascot of the Greenfield High School. But the Little Stingers, and that we have a picture, we couldn't get it open, of them doing their little ball handling at the age of 7 and 8. And Chloe said, look, everything when it comes to basketball, she and Tess have done together.
Yeah, Chloe Moore McNeil, number 22, in that crimson jersey for Indiana. Tess Darby matched up with her, number 21, in white for Tennessee.
Yarden Garzone is a freshman out of Israel. In the opener against Vermont, she had 5 3-pointers.
It was 5 and 8 from behind the arc. And a traveling violation called on Jasmine Franklin. Well, we got the time to spend, pregame after their shoot-around with Yarden Garzone, and she was telling us, she was on 2 different professional teams playing overseas before she got to Indiana, so she came in with a lot of experience. But she did say defense was my focus last year to get ready to be an Indiana Hoosier.
Definitely so. And look, she was playing against professionals. She talked about having players on her team or played against players that played in the WNBA, like Kayla Davis, who had come back, played back and forth, played at South Carolina before she went into the WNBA.
Rickea Jackson will kick to Marta Suarez. Jasmine Powell, top of the key. Mackenzie Holmes being fed by Grace Berger.
What I love about Mackenzie Holmes is she's a post player that can finish with either hand. Come down, you don't even know, left-handed, right-handed. Very easy finish inside.
Jackson looking for something, finds the elbow, rattles in and out into the hands of Berger. And there's going to be a foul called. I think Grace Berger got hit in the nose. Well, Wednesday we have the college basketball game of the night on ESPN2 and the app. Back end of a home-and-home series between Drew Timme and number 2 Gonzaga and Tyrese Hunter and number 12 Texas. Coverage begins at 8:30 Central from the Moody Center in Austin. I got to tour it last week, brand new arena. Absolutely beautiful. The women's locker room is super cool too. I got to go in, have a little tour.
I cannot wait to take a trip to Austin, Texas. See the new digs.
Indiana on a 7-0 run. Tennessee hasn't scored in over 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Holmes from range. There's going to be a foul underneath the basket. Marta Suarez will be whistled for that.
Well, remember, Mackenzie Holmes, she is the center for Indiana. She took that 3. They can play 4 out, 1 in, or they can play all 5 out with that spread motion offense. Now keep an eye on Sarah Scalia, number 14, coming off the screen. That's a 3-point shooter.
Maybe not from that deep.
Oh, yes, she is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Berger to the baseline shot, and Marta Suarez is going to push the ball down the floor. He's calling for it. Jordan Walker off on the 3.
That whole possession, no paint touch for Tennessee.
Garzone stripped to the basketball by Walker. And Tennessee's first 9 possessions of this game, Carolyn, they only had 1 paint touch.
It was a good hustle by Jordan Walker to get back to stop an easy transition bucket for Indiana.
Here's Scalia.
Look how far out Tennessee's defense has to respect the shooters of Indiana.
8 seconds. There's that deep 3. Sydney Parrish was crashing the glass. And it's a foul on Jordan Walker.
When Tennessee's defense has to be so focused on that perimeter defense, what does that do? Allows a Sydney Parrish to crash the boards. Right now, Indiana is beating Tennessee on the glass 13-5.
+8 rebounding margin. This is, again, a Tennessee team that hung its hat on rebounding last year. They had a school record 48.1 rebounds per game. It was second in all of D1.
But in their second game of the season against UMass, Tennessee out-rebounded. They gave up 22 offensive rebounds to UMass. That'll cause Kelly Harper to pull her hair out.
Powell tries to drive in and does it right into Mackenzie Holmes. It's a 9-0 run for the Hoosiers. Wow, the effort from Sydney Parrish. She is all over the glass right now. And Tennessee's going to call timeout. It's an 11-0 run for Indiana. We step away for 30 seconds. Well, Indiana really benefiting from their transfers they have added, especially Sydney Parrish. She's had 7 of the last 9 points for Indiana, came over from Oregon.
Well, Sydney Parrish is really the sixth starter when you talk to Terry Morin, and early on really thought she was going to be in the starting lineup, but Coach Morin really likes what Sydney's bringing off the bench. She brings that extra that energy, and she's a great communicator, so she can sit on the bench while the game starts, see what needs to happen, and then bring that knowledge on the floor and communicate it.
Indiana is on an 11-0 run. Tennessee has now allowed a 10+0 run in all 3 of their games this season, and they have yet to go on one of their own.
I believe the Big Ten is putting the nation on notice, and you saw what Ohio State did in the opening game against Tennessee. Iowa was able to hold off Drake. Indiana's gotten off to a good start in their first 2 games, and they're looking really nice right here in Knoxville.
Indiana's defense, too, is really forcing Tennessee to shoot the outside shot. There haven't been very many paint touches for the Lady Vols.
That's been the big question mark, was how was Tennessee going to be able to make enough shots on the perimeter to open up the paint? Because that's really Tennessee's bread and butter has been paint production. That didn't mean just getting the basketball inside to the post, but also off drives. But the offense has got to move more.
Scalia. Bargesser. Oh, a layup for Indiana. There's wide open spaces in front of her.
Well, that's because you've got to respect everybody in the crimson and cream, because they all can shoot the three. When the defense has to really expand out, then that opens up driving lanes.
Indiana has scored 20 or more points in every quarter this season. He's trying to call for it against Alyssa Geary. Tamari Key up and in. Her first field goal of the game.
Yeah, Key has got to demand the basketball and really, when it comes inside to her, make that the no-pass zone and go finish to the rim.
Garzone with the ball for Indiana. 5 seconds on the clock. They swing it around to Parrish for the deep three. It won't go, but Indiana with all the momentum in this first quarter.
Well, Indiana, patience on offense, spread the floor on offense, find the driving lane. That's how the Indiana Hoosiers find themselves in control at the end of the first.
Well, the 12th annual State Farm Champions Classic is tomorrow. Kentucky and Michigan State at 7 Eastern. Then we're going to have the exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings, followed by number 7 Duke, squaring off against number 5 Kansas.
Interesting to see if Oscar Tshiebwe will be cleared to play for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Tune in tomorrow to find out. Meanwhile, here in Knoxville, it has been about Indiana. Now, Tennessee, they're known for paint points and rebounding. That's been the Hoosiers tonight.
+6 for Indiana, points in the paint, points +10 rebounding-wise. Look, rebounding's all about effort. And right now, Indiana is outworking Tennessee on the glass.
Now, Kelly Harper's team defensively has had to stretch out because you got to respect every player for Indiana as an outside shooter. So there's been some lanes to get in the paint for the Hoosiers. Berger in a double team underneath the basket. Jasmine Powell scoops it up. And missed the layup. Got it back. Jump ball, possession arrow to Tennessee.
But the smallest player in the orange and white has been the biggest battle on the biggest battler on the board. And Powell tries to go right at Scalia. Wasn't able to get the finish.
Indiana up 22-14 on Tennessee here in the second quarter. Berger scanning the floor, and she finds Garzone, kicks it over to Chloe Moore McNeil. Welcome home.
The chemistry on the floor for Indiana, the unselfish play, moving the basketball, the confidence in each other to shoot the ball.
Indiana up 25-14 now. Tennessee is 1 for its last 10. Jasmine Powell at the elbow.
She's a calming factor for the Lady Vols, Jasmine Powell. She never gets too high or too low, and she knows that the rest of the team looks to her to bring that composure to the court. And one of the things that Tennessee could possibly look at doing is extending their defense as well. After a made basket, bring some pressure, because going against Indiana with a 5-out offense that they can just pick you apart, shorten the shot clock. Make them take some time bringing the ball down the floor. Then in the half court, they can't just as easily get the shots they want.
See if Tennessee tries to make that adjustment with the full court pressure. Lady Vols trailing Indiana 25-16, 8:40 left here in the second quarter. Tamari Key up through the double team, and that's going to be a foul on Yarden Garzone.
When you watch when Rakia Jackson gets the ball at the top, Garzone really backs off and really tries to discourage that pass inside. So you may have to move Rakia around, move her away off the top, and move her to a wing area to make better angles to get the ball inside the key.
Tamari Key misses the first. Kaya Wynn has checked in for Tennessee, number 5 in that white Tennessee jersey.
Kelly Harper talked about trying to get more minutes for Wynn, for Brooklyn Miles. She really likes the toughness they bring to the floor.
Yeah, notice that in their first year. And here's that pressure you talked about, Coach Peck.
Well, that's the thing, is when you're struggling offensively, turn the heat up defensively.
Tess Darby whistled for the foul as Moore McNeil drives in.
Yeah, making the defense have to shift, making 2 or 3 passes, but you've got to move while the ball's in the air. You can't get caught chasing and running, but anticipating, keep the ball in front. You don't necessarily need to get the steal. Just take time off the shot clock.
Chloe Moore McNeil, we told you, from Greenfield High School, homecoming for her. She's never played in Thompson Bowling before. First time. Her Indiana Hoosiers up 27-17, 8:22 left here in the second quarter.
The career of Chloe Moore McNeil is someone who only played 5 minutes her freshman year, got a little bit more minutes her sophomore year, and in the day and age of the transfer portal, a lot of players would leave. She has hung tough.
Tamari Key fell down there for a second, but back up on her feet. Tennessee running out of time, and Kaya Wynn loses the basketball. Three turnovers for Tennessee. Up ahead to Holmes. They skip it. Scalia. Boom!
Tennessee's tried just about everything. The thing is that going for traps and steals in the front court, you don't need to. What you're trying to do is take time off the clock. You don't need to gamble and over-rotate. Just make sure the clock's running.
Tess Darby with the answer. Tennessee's best three-point shooter. Garzone looking for help. Mackenzie Holmes will take her second deep shot attempt. Berger with the offensive rebound. Moore McNeil. It'll be Tennessee basketball. Foul was on Yarden Garzone, her second. Kaya Wynn's going to check out for Tennessee. Jasmine Franklin back in the game.
How much is Terry Moran enjoying the ability to have subs? Her starters had to play 30-plus minutes a game last season.
Sydney Parrish back in for Indiana. And Rakia Jackson is going to be tied up. Possession arrow to Indiana. Tennessee drops back the pressure. Berger using the screen from Holmes. Scalia. Parrish in the corner. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Grace Berger pulls up. Mackenzie Holmes is there to help her, but travels.
Mackenzie Holmes is doing yeoman's work inside because she is battling to get position. Then she's got to pop out in the perimeter, go back, and post up again and then do the work inside on the glass.
Look, she's a coach's kid. She's used to hard work, right?
Absolutely. Met her mom, Denise, yesterday, that's in town from Maine.
Her dad was a Division III player, Lenny. Jasmine Powell leading Tennessee with 11 points.
Now what Tennessee needs to do is they've got to try to put together back-to-back stops.
Floater by Scalia.
That's just one-on-one. Scalia just went and got a bucket.
That ended a 6-0 run by Tennessee. Rickea Jackson working. Turns around at the free throw line. Jordan Walker keeps it going. The dish back to Powell.
Now what Tennessee doesn't need to do is panic. They don't need to try to get it all back at once.
That's off.
You saw that from here.
Standing around, looking right behind her.
Right?
Franklin wants it down low. She gets it. She gets the bucket.
Now to take away any help, when they wanted to help off for Rickea Jackson, instead of having the pass come in from the top of the key, what'd Kelly Harper do? Move Rickea Jackson to the wing. Better angle to get the pass inside.
There's going to be a foul called on Jasmine Franklin of Tennessee. That's her second.
Patience. You got to dial it up. Find the pass from where you want it. Get the ball inside from the wing. Works out for Jasmine Powell for the Lady Vols.
From inside our college basketball studios with the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo and Zubin Mehenti.
Taking care of the basketball, but an area they got to clean up. It's on the glass. Indiana still out rebounding Tennessee, 19-11.
Indiana scored 22 points in the first quarter. If you're just joining us too, Tennessee is without Jordan Horston tonight. The good news is we did see her do some activity in shoot around today, so she will be back soon, but unavailable tonight for the Lady Vols after being injured in their last game. And that's a player that fills so many different roles for Tennessee.
She does. She can play the point. She also brings the energy defensively, and she's a big guard that can also get on the glass for the Lady Vols.
Indiana has made it really hard on Tennessee getting the ball inside. Forced them to take a lot of outside shots.
We watch this, it's a gap-type defense. They're playing behind the post, really making it tough on Jasmine Franklin inside.
And Franklin has no points. And their other big-time post player, Tamari Key, she only has one field goal, 5 points. But 3 of those coming from the free throw line.
And she's going to the scorer's table to check in.
City Parrish. Berger now looking for Holmes. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Grace Berger is going to have to take it. She's all jumbled up by Jordan Walker. Shot underneath the backboard. It'll stay with Tennessee.
Well, Mort McNeil on the play defensively as Jordan Walker's coming down the floor. The athleticism of Mort McNeil as she's coming down the floor just timed it perfectly to get that block.
So Tennessee brings in Tamari Key. Alyssa Geary also checks in, number 32 in Crimson. They've been battling inside. Geary, the transfer from Providence.
And Gary's going to be important to really be able to give rotation rest to Mackenzie Holmes. She's going to have to be a bigger stopper than that inside.
That's the Rickea Jackson we're used to seeing. It's a 10-2 run for Tennessee. Foul on the floor, and that's on Tamari Key. Her first.
Rickea Jackson just one-on-one. She's got such a quick step and has the ability to get by the defense, staying under control, on balance to get the finish.
Scalia, the three. She's their leading three-point shooter.
And she does not, Scalia doesn't need much time to get that shot off. She get her feet set, boom, knock it down.
She's got 8 points in this quarter.
But she ranks second in the Big Ten in made threes last season.
And she's 7th in career three-point percentage at Minnesota. It's Tamari Key up and in. More McNeil over to Berger. Parrish. And Jasmine Powell, one of the smallest players on the court, up on the glass. Indiana ball.
Tennessee wants to play with pace. They make it one and done against Indiana. They're trying to get down the floor before that defense can get set, staying in attack mode. That was one of the areas in the first half of that Ohio State game. Kelly Harper wanted to play with pace. She liked that helter-skelter. She said that the turnovers really started happening when Tennessee started really retreating a little bit, thinking too much instead of playing in that go mode.
Yeah, in that opener against Ohio State, Tennessee had 29 turnovers. Corner, Scalia, short. Sarah Puckett with the rebound. They go inside to Jackson. Franklin posting up. And Tennessee turns it over. Mackenzie Holmes is by herself.
Tennessee's got to be careful. They've got a big lineup in right now. They've got Powell in. They have Puckett in, but they have Rakia Jackson in at the three. With this big lineup, there is a potential to have an issue in the turnover department.
Jordan Walker is over at the scorer's table waiting to check in for Tennessee, and Sydney Parrish had a takeaway. It's foul by Sarah Puckett. Well, Sunday we have the women's basketball game of the day. Aaliyah Boston, the reigning National Player of the Year. #1 South Carolina taking on Haley Jones. Cameron Brink and #2 Stanford. Coverage begins at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. What do you think of the defending national champions so far in South Carolina?
Look, I think that Dawn Staley is right when she says this team has the potential to be better than last season. I really like Raven Johnson coming in at the point. I like the contribution of the 2 freshmen and Cooper and Watkins. Aaliyah Boston is Aaliyah Boston. They got Victoria Saxon back for a 5th season.
Marta Suarez won't get the bounce. Held ball, possession arrows pointing to Indiana.
We were talking about Jordan Walker coming into the game. Well, she subbed out Jasmine Powell. So it's still a big lineup that Tennessee's gone with Sarah Puckett now, Jillian Hollingshed in the ballgame, Marta Suarez to go along with Tamari Key.
Yeah, seeing Hollingshed for the first time, number 53 in white, the transfer from Georgia.
I like Hollingshed and Tamari Key on the floor at the same time.
Scalia. Oh, it was a wide open lane, missed it. Holmes working hard on the glass. Parrish for 3!
See, that's 3 points off an offensive rebound. Crucial for Indiana.
17 second chance points for Indiana. And Tennessee throws it away. Tamari Key wanted the foul call, but no whistle. 0.2 seconds left. We're looking at the clock right now. They're adjusting the clock right now.
I want to look at that again because when the ball was going inside to Tamari Key, she was blocked from behind, impeded her progress. Nothing was called. Scalia.
Yeah, she displaces her.
She displaces her right there, and there's a no call.
Nevertheless, Indiana is going to take the lead into the locker room. They end on a 5-0 run. Let's get it back to Zoomin in the studio.
Guys, thank you so much.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Indiana on top of Tennessee 40-29 as we are set for the start of the third quarter. Tennessee ended the first half and a scoring drought, 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Meanwhile, Indiana in the paint and hit threes.
Well, Indiana has the advantage, 12 to 8 points in the paint. They turned up the defense out and running in transition. And Courtney, in the first half, they've already hit 6 threes. So they are getting it done both inside and out. And oh yes, Indiana controlling the rebounding as well. They are +7 over the Lady Vols.
They're also getting some production off the bench. Parrish came in and has a season-high 10 points for Sydney Parrish off the bench.
In talking to Terry Morin earlier today at Shoot-Around, she said after that first game, normally she's looking at the stat sheet and looks at bench points, and there were only like maybe 4 last season. In one of the first 2 games this season, she looked and she got the production of 42 points from her reserves. So that's a good sign for Indiana that they've got that depth that they can depend on. And a lot of that has to do with Sydney Parrish.
What do you want to see differently from Tennessee?
Well, they've got to find a way to move around and get the ball right there in the paint. Now, a lot of times you feel like you've got to take the ball to the paint or you've got to pass the ball in the paint and you're leaving your post stationary. Well, that lets the defense sit there and wait on you. So you're going to have better movement offensively, make the defense be concerned where you are, and that will open up opportunities inside.
Jordan Walker to the free throw line. The foul was called on Mackenzie Holmes, her first for Indiana. Indiana scored 22 points in the first quarter, only gave up 14. Went on an 11-0 run. Chloe Moore-McNeil for 3!
Moore-McNeil, that is something that she brought last season, hitting big threes in big moments. It's become more consistent for her this season.
From Sharon, Tennessee, the Greenfield High School product. And Rakia Jackson will try to answer with a 3. Now Tamari Key and Mackenzie Holmes get tangled up. No whistle. And now there's going to be a foul called on Tess Darby. That's her second.
Indiana pushing with pace and really looking for that opportunity. Whenever it's there, take the best scoring look that you have. And that time it was the 3 by Moore-McNeil.
Now she has really grown her game, the pull-up game, mid-range. Also her defense has grown. We told you her story, playing only about 5 minutes a game her freshman year. Now she is a key contributor and starter for Indiana. That's the second on Mackenzie Holmes.
But Holmes has done a good job with the physicality, playing inside for that only to be her second foul, and it's already the second half.
And Tamari Key, only 2 field goals, 7 points, and only 1 rebound. Tess Darby short on the 3.
I'm watching Indiana on the box out so that Tennessee's not getting those second chance opportunities.
Moore-McNeil all the way to the rack, and she'll go to the free throw line. It was so fun to talk to Chloe Moore-McNeil today. The second foul is called on Rakia Jackson. Now, she lost her mom at a young age, and so she has really taken on that motherly role for her 3 younger siblings. And they're big Indiana Hoosier fans. They travel to games. There they are in the stands.
They got a pair of the red and white warm-up pants, but Terry Morton told me the story too of how important it is for Chloe to be really a role model for her younger sisters. And sometimes she would come to Coach on some days and say, Coach, I just need to go home and put my eyes on my little sisters and make sure that they're taken care of. And then she comes back. She's got her priorities in order. She knows that when she goes to college, it's academics, it's also what she does athletically, but she wants to be a role model for those young girls.
Yeah, her 3 little sisters, Kylie, Oren, and Odalis. They come to a lot of her games too. Really cool to have them in the stands, especially in her home state. First time that she is getting to play in Thompson Bowling Arena, being a Tennessee native. Rickea Jackson driving in, and one coming.
I think Tennessee can do this more often, playing through Rickea Jackson, letting her go, let her make plays. She said one of the reasons she loved coming to play at Tennessee and play for Kelly Harper is that Kelly Harper played to her strengths. I said, well, okay, Rickea, tell me what your strengths are. And she said, well, playing from the high post in that chin action, but also the ability to go one-on-one. And I think that is a definite strength for number 2 in orange and white.
Yeah, and we've seen here tonight when she goes one-on-one, she's going to score. 9 points now for Rickea Jackson, the transfer from Mississippi State.
And Tennessee in a 2-3 zone, started out with a half-court press action.
Are you worried about the threes, though, with the 2-3 zone?
Well, the thing is if you take enough time off the clock and not let them get the shots that they want, and don't fall in love with it, mix the defense up a little bit so you keep Indiana guessing.
We saw Tennessee extend to their full-court pressure late in that second quarter, trying to make an adjustment and keep Indiana from setting up in the half court.
And I think early in the first half when Tennessee went that full court pressure, Indiana was prepared for that. So you've got to change things up at times, bring the full court, then go the quarter court, back to the half court, so that Indiana's having to look over to the coach and go, okay, what are we running, what do we have right here? When that happens, that takes time off the clock. And instead of allowing Indiana to move the ball and get the shots they want.
7th turnover by Tennessee. Lady Vols will pick up Grace Berger at half court. Berger started this game 3 for 3.
So you're already down below 14 seconds on the shot clock and not an open look just yet for Indiana.
Grace Berger saves it, but 4 seconds on the shot clock. Scalia's got to take it. Much better defensively for Tennessee.
See, next time down, I'd change up the defense, go a little man, switch up the type of zone that you're looking at so that Indiana cannot get comfortable and find the holes.
I love watching Jasmine Powell. That's 13 points for her, 6 rebounds, and she's one of the smallest players on the court. That's 2 turnovers by Rickea Jackson in the last few seconds. Scalia, layup.
She goes right past her former Minnesota teammate. Played together last year for the Golden Gophers.
That ended an almost 3-minute scoring drought by Indiana. Tess Darby with the D3. Tennessee extending that zone. Parrish finds herself open at the free throw line.
Now can Tennessee take advantage of the opportunities? Get a stop, find it, got it, Tess Darby.
2 in a row. More McNeil in the corner. And Indiana calls timeout. 13 points for Chloe Moore McNeil.
That is a shootout, Courtney Lyle. Tess Darby from distance knocks it down, but the Indiana Hoosiers, they got an answer at the other end. Do the Lady Vols have enough to get themselves back in this? We'll see. Jasmine Powell doing all that she can to try to bring the Lady Vols back into this ball game. But she is a transfer from Minnesota. She's completely inside. She brings a toughness to the floor. She has the ability to score from the three and as well take it off the bounce. I think with her continued aggressive mentality, the Lady Vols are going to need more of that to get themselves in this ball game.
And we talked about it. She's playing against one of her former teammates, Sarah Scalia, who they were both at Minnesota together. They're actually matched up on each other right now. Scalia's number 14 in that crimson jersey. Shed with the mid-range.
That was a smooth shot from the transfer from Georgia. Hollingshed letting it fly.
Brooklyn Miles on the floor for Tennessee, number 0 in white.
Arizona's been quiet since early in the first quarter.
She's got a mismatch too, dumps it off to Mackenzie Holmes.
We talked about number 12 from Israel, her scoring ability. That was a nice drop pass to Mackenzie Holmes down low.
And that's going to be a foul on Jillian Hollingshed. We step aside.
In the studio, UConn has found their spark tonight.
Yeah, and that spark is off the bench. Aubrey Griffin didn't play a season ago after back surgery, has been outstanding for Connecticut so far in this game.
And then Texas, Rebecca mentioned it, the higher-ranked team coming into this game. It's a little bit of an anomaly. We're tied at 30, guys.
And we'll keep an eye on that one. Tennessee trying to get their footing here. They switched up their defenses, Coach Peck, but Indiana seems to have found a way to get through that zone.
Well, that's why I was talking about. Tennessee might need to switch that up because what Indiana has found, if they can flash into that sweet spot, which is the white SEC inside the orange lane, that causes that middle of the zone to come up, and Mackenzie Holmes doing a nice job of creeping on that baseline. And Tennessee going back to a man-to-man defense.
Keeps Indiana guessing. Grace Berger off the screen, back up to Mackenzie Holmes, and she traveled.
I was watching Mackenzie Holmes warm up, and some of the moves she was making, I had a question. It looked like she did kind of that Fred Flintstone running start before she put the ball down. You've got to make sure before you take off that you get that dribble down before you shuffle those feet.
Jamari Key at the high post. Coming screen for Powell, who's leading Tennessee in points tonight. Jillian Hollingshed, and the rebound by Brooklyn Miles.
It's the smallest players on the floor all over the boards for Tennessee.
Hollingshed saves it from going out of bounds, and Jamari Key is fouled. I see an extra effort on the glass for Tennessee.
Well, one of the things that's really helping is pulling Tamari Key out of the paint. She's setting ball screens and then rolling, moving, and a lot of times when you pull a player away from the basket, they've got to concentrate a little bit harder on, I got to get back inside and got to get to the glass, and that's what we saw from Tamari Key.
Seven points tonight for Tamari Key. She's 2 for 2 from the field. Short on the free throw.
Changing up the defenses again for Tennessee. Full court pressure. Just a man-to-man. And I think this is a good idea. Change things up. Do not let Indiana get into a rhythm. They're just too good with their offensive execution.
Garzone, the deep shot, and Powell comes out with the rebound.
I love how Powell handles the basketball.
Brooklyn Miles for three. Inserted late into the game, and Brooklyn Miles making an impact defensively and offensively. Berger trying to break down Miles. Great move from the fifth year. Miles. Tess Darby in the corner. 8 seconds.
Tamari Key away from the basket. Now's an opportunity to get inside.
And it's short by Tess Darby. Darby making the signal that that ball was tipped.
And keep an eye on Grace Berger because she recognizes she's got Brooklyn Miles on her. What is she thinking? I have a height advantage. So she's not going to just stay on the perimeter and look for shots, but she's going to get some movement, some opportunities. What she did the last possession, she got the post up cut into the paint.
And Grace Berger, number 34 in crimson for Indiana. Zone gives it up to Moore McNeil. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Foul whistled away from the ball. It's on Jillian Hollingshed, her second.
See, Hollingshed has got to be a little smarter on that. You know, she's trying to play tough, play hard, but when you're playing defensively, you got to do it without your hands. You have to move your feet.
Garzone on the baseline.
Garden Garzone.
Hollingshed takes it, gives it back up to Darby. 5 seconds for Rickea Jackson. Powell swoops in, trying to save the day. Oh, and Garzone hits the floor hard. It's going to be Indiana ball.
I got to remind the folks at home, number 12, Yarden Garzone. She's a freshman. She's a 19-year-old freshman. She's had experience playing against pros, playing in Israel. But she brings such maturity. Like a play like that doesn't faze her. She's not going to back down.
Moore McNeil at the top of the key. Started playing basketball at 8 years old. Talking about Garzone because her dad and her sisters played. Here she goes back down the floor. Kicks it to Parrish. Jackson. That's the third.
Well, Rickea Jackson, she's still in the restricted area. On that drive, that play started outside the lower defensive box. So when she drives in, that arc inside is still in play. That's why Jackson's called for the block.
Sydney Parrish at the line, who already has a season high 10 points, all of those coming in the first half. She's now one of 3 players for Indiana in double figures, led by Chloe Moore McNeil with 13.
That's what makes Indiana so dangerous. They've got so many options, so many offensive options. And then they're heady and smart on defense. And Terry Morin's, look, her philosophy is it's defense first. If you don't defend, you're not getting on the floor. So you've got to commit to guarding somebody.
Jordan Walker coming in.
Oh, I think Walker got away with a double dribble.
Oh, feed Tamari Key.
I like how Tamari Key kept working, getting position until she had the advantage of Mackenzie Holmes to get the ball inside.
10 points for Key. Chloe Moore McNeil in and out. And then she swipes the pass away. Holmes saves it. Up ahead to Garzone.
Okay, can we talk about Mackenzie Holmes? She runs over here practically in the table with us to save the basketball, then is falling out of bounds, then runs in, then dives on the floor. You think this game means something to her?
She's everywhere.
I love it. Yeah, Terry Morin said last season felt like they could have won the Big Ten tournament if Mackenzie Holmes had been available to play. She had some knee issues that kept her in and out last season, but she is back 100% so far this year.
Now, this Indiana team made the Big Ten championship game in the tournament, ended up losing to Caitlin Clark and Iowa, but it was the first time in around 2 decades they had been in the champ game. Going to the NCAA tournament, lost in the Sweet 16. Tennessee's got to shoot. It's on Chloe Moore McNeil, her first. 9.5 seconds. Brooklyn Miles and Kaya Wynn will check in.
Tennessee keeps chipping away just a little bite at a time into this Indiana lead.
They've outscored Indiana here in the third quarter, 19-17. It's the only quarter they've outscored them tonight.
Free throws. Tennessee has missed 4 so far tonight. Actually 5.
Yeah, only 50% from the free throw line for Tennessee. Grace Berger will see what she can get with the clock winding down. Turnaround floater is off. 10 minutes left. Indiana still hanging on to this lead, 57-49 on the road. Fourth quarter coming up here from Rocky Top. Indiana on top of Tennessee, 57-49. And we saw in that last quarter, Tennessee, what are you doing?
Come on! This is fourth quarter time. Let's go!
Let's go! Courtney Lyle and Carolyn Beck with you. And we saw some adjustments from Tennessee defensively, and also they're crashing the glass more. They out-rebounded Indiana in the third quarter, 11-5, where Indiana had been winning that battle.
The biggest thing that I think Tennessee did is they changed up their defenses. They didn't stay with the zone or the man, and a little bit tried to keep Indiana off balance. I think Brooklyn Miles also brought a toughness, a grittiness for the Lady Vols to the court. And I think Tamari Key, she decided to mix it up a little bit inside with Mackenzie Holmes. I think we're in for a good one in this fourth quarter.
Can't wait for the final 10 minutes in this one. It's been Indiana leading the way most of this game. They came out with a bang, scoring 22 points in the first quarter. Tennessee, no Jordan Horston tonight. Still dealing with an injury, but we did see her in limited action shoot around today, so she should be back soon.
So Rakia Jackson got matched up with Mackenzie Holmes, and Indiana went straight inside to number 54.
Rakia in the corner.
Jackson knocked down that 3. That ball had no rotation. It was a knuckleball, but it was dead on target.
Tennessee shooting 40% from 3 tonight. And then look at Mackenzie Holmes go.
Well, here's the thing is, Indiana is going inside, getting paint points. Tennessee having to settle for shots on the perimeter.
They give it inside to Jackson. She's immediately double teamed and gets herself to the free throw line. You know, we've seen what Mackenzie Holmes and how important she and Grace Berger have been for this Indiana team. They had big roles last year, and, you know, they're kind of a staple now for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Well, those were the solid pieces that Indiana had, that Terry Morin had to fill in the blanks around them, and did so with Chloe Moore McNeil. They also had Yarden Garzone, the freshman, come in, fill that gap. You got Sydney Parrish coming in off the bench, as well as others. They have really 4 or 5 other players on the bench that Indiana can come in with. So that depth has been key.
Yeah, 13 bench points tonight for Indiana. Most of those coming from Sydney Parrish. to Holmes for 3.
No offensive rebounds for Indiana.
Up top to Rickea Jackson. Tennessee has gone away from the big lineup that they used to end the second quarter. Skip pass to Tess Darby. 8 seconds on the shot clock. This is a 2. McNeil, too much.
Again, in the second half, offensive rebounding, not so much for Indiana. Not like they were able to get to in that first half.
It's going to be Indiana basketball on an offensive foul. Sunday, we've got the women's basketball game of the day. If you haven't seen South Carolina and Aaliyah Boston, well, they are back. Confirmed. Haley Jones and Cameron Brink at number 2 Stanford wait to challenge them on their home floor at Maples Pavilion. Coverage begins at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. South Carolina coming off its biggest first test of the season against Maryland. They've got a true point guard now in Raven Johnson, who was impressive a week ago when we saw her against ETSU.
Johnson likes to push it in transition. She can score it, shoot the ball as well.
Holmes had the offensive rebound taken away by Jasmine Powell. Tennessee out-rebounding Indiana 15-6 in this half. Jasmine Franklin inside, and she's fouled.
Indiana was able to get 9 offensive rebounds in the first half. About to get their 10th one. But no, Jasmine Powell, she fights for it and then pushing the other end. And then Jasmine Franklin going to work to finish inside. Look, Tennessee said this game is not over, and they have brought it within 5.
Jasmine Powell will take a seat as Jasmine Franklin looks for the 3-point play. She gets it, started her career at Missouri State, was recruited by Kelly Harper, and played for Coach Harper for a season. Now she's back with Kelly at Tennessee. Brooklyn Miles, the extra effort. She is a hustle player. Feeding Franklin. Pass called on Indiana. I believe it's on Mackenzie Holmes.
Franklin and Parrish were getting mixed up down low inside.
Oh, excuse me, it's on Sydney Parrish, her 4th. You leave her in?
Yeah, I believe you can leave her in. You still have Yarden Garzon that's on the bench. She has 4 as well. I think you've got it with 6 minutes left. One of the 2 of them have to be on the floor.
3rd foul called on Hollingshed. Brooklyn Miles coming into this game late. She's done a lot with her energy for Tennessee, especially defensively. Grace Berger, beautiful.
There's a couple of WNBA scouts here, and I'm sure that Grace Berger has gotten their attention. We got Katie Smith from the Minnesota Lynx and Darius Taylor, who's the assistant GM for the Atlanta Dream. Both teams looking for potential point guards. I think Grace Berger could be a fit.
Yeah, there you see him sitting courtside here at Thompson Bowling. What stands out to you so far about Grace Berger, especially translating to the next level?
Well, when Indiana needs a bucket, she can go get it. She is a 6'2" guard that has demonstrated she's got terrific handling. She's a really good ball handler. She sees the floor very well, and she knows the when. When it's her time and when it's time to give it to somebody else.
That's why she's got 11 points, shooting 50% from the field, 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Heck of a stat line for Grace Berger. More McNeil leaped out and got the bucket. That's on Lily Meister, her second. So Meister will check out. Geary back in for Indiana. Parrish still on the floor with those 4 fouls. Tennessee's going to bring Jasmine Powell back.
One left.
12 points now for Tamari Key.
Now Tennessee's got to string together back-to-back stops. Indiana gets a shot, they got to make sure it's one and done. Then they need to try to come score quickly, push in transition if they can.
Tamari Key got a hand on it. Whistle goes for the foul, and they call Tamari Key for her second.
Tamari Key rotating over. It's not really her help. I think the better help should have come from Jasmine Franklin.
Put Scalia at the free throw line. Indiana 77% from the charity stripe tonight.
This is an area of concern. First 2 games only shooting about 63% from the free throw line. I think if Tamari Key's got the defense on her back, you've got to give her the basketball.
7 seconds. Brooklyn Miles, it gets tipped up in the air by Geary. Pass over to Parrish.
Jasmine Powell, she's got 10 rebounds.
Yeah, double-double, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists for Powell. Darby by herself. It's gonna be Indiana ball. Offensive foul on Jasmine Franklin. And we step aside, nail biter in Knoxville.
True story. 4 preeminent programs meet to tip off the season every year. Kentucky, Michigan State, Duke, Kansas. Experience the State Farm Champions Classic. Begins Tuesday at 7 on ESPN.
Got a close battle here in Knoxville. Indiana has led most of this game. Looking to upset Tennessee, who already has a loss on its record, lost to Ohio State. It'll be a week ago tomorrow. And we've seen Tennessee change the defenses up, but now with this much time left on the clock, how does that affect Tennessee's game plan?
That's going to be tough. Tennessee's got it now. Bring the full court pressure. They got to look for going after steals. You got Tamari Key as a rim protector on the backside, but you got to try to force some turnovers now. You've got to rotate and not allow Indiana to use so much of the shot clock.
Indiana has been so patient, too. They haven't really gotten flustered at anything that Tennessee has thrown at them.
Well, because Indiana has the brains of Grace Berger running the point. It's a team that executes with such high IQ. And Scalia off the glass there. Just patience, rotation, not a forced shot.
Jasmine Powell, too much traffic. Grace Berger's there to scoop it.
You see how Grace Berger handles the ball with ease. Just what comes natural between the legs and then advance the ball to the corner.
Scalia with the extra effort to get her own rebound. They're looking to feed Mackenzie Holmes. That'll stay with Indiana. Oh, excuse me, it'll be Tennessee ball.
And remember, Grace Berger is a fifth-year player for the Indiana Hoosiers. She understands what Terry Morin wants. As the game gets tighter and tighter, she can think like her coach because she's been with her for so long.
Jordan Walker coming off the screen and gets tripped up.
I just wonder if Kelly Harper would think of putting Jordan Walker, Jasmine Powell, and Brooklyn Miles on the floor at the same time. You got quickness, you got tenacity, be able to go after some steals. Would Indiana be able to handle that pressure? Nothing seems to have rattled the Hoosiers so far.
Yarden Garzon has just fouled out of the game, number 12 in Crimson. That was her 5th foul. So Sydney Parrish, who has been such a luxury off of the bench for Indiana, will come back in, but she also has 4 fouls. Parrish has given them 11 points off the bench.
Just the threat that Indiana is with the scoring ability of all 5 players on the floor. They don't take bad shots. The cuts are where they need to be in order to make the defense always focused and conscious. And right now, Tennessee in a zone, it's just going to allow Indiana to use shot clock.
3 minutes left. Six seconds. Berger's got it. Pulls up like a pro.
I'm going to tell you, she can elevate. Berger can elevate and get her shot anytime she wants it.
It's a 6-0 run for Indiana. Meanwhile, Tennessee, its last field goal came at the 7:05 mark in this quarter. Fouls on Scalia.
Watch as the shot clock is running down. Grace Berger just off the bounce, just elevates over the defense, locks in, finds her target, knocks it down. Now, I ran into Grace Berger's parents in the elevator at the hotel, and right before I got off on my floor, there was another gentleman on the elevator as well, and he said, "I am Grace Berger's godfather, and I take credit for her shot." Now, her dad is responsible for the turnovers, but it's her godfather that said he is responsible for how well Grace Berger shoots the ball. And the doors closed before I could get his name, but I do know he was the godfather.
Well, she's got a pretty shot. In a new role this year for Indiana, playing that point guard position, but still being able to put points on the board, too.
She said she likes playing the point guard spot. Look how she directs traffic, getting everybody in the right spot. Just make sure that Indiana doesn't turn the ball over.
And then you go inside to Mackenzie Holmes. Holmes with 14. 5 players in double figures for Indiana. Powell driving in, and she's fouled by Moore McNeil.
That's the last thing Indiana wants to do is foul right now.
Well, volleyball triple header over on the SEC Network on Sunday afternoon. Mississippi State will take on Tennessee here at Thompson Bowling Arena at noon Eastern. And then the top teams in the conference square off. It is Kentucky and Florida. These two teams kind of dominated the conference as of late, both with really great setters, too. We'll cap the evening with Texas A&M and Missouri. That's the triple header coming up on Sunday.
Now cutting it to 5. Tennessee has got to go after steals. They got to even think about lengthening the game. Put Indiana at the free throw line. Coming into this game, they weren't shooting a high free throw percentage, but you cannot allow them to use the full shot clock.
Indiana coming in was 63% from the free throw line. Mackenzie Holmes just gets down there and scores. Rickea Jackson for 3. 17 points for Rickea Jackson.
See, Tennessee trying to run traps. And in the scramble, Mackenzie Holmes just kind of stays on home base and finds herself alone for the finish.
Mackenzie Holmes has a double-double. Grace Berger has a double-double. Those are the two experienced players that Indiana knows what they're going to get when they're on the floor.
And what they're going to have to do now is they're going to have to take care of the basketball. Kelly Harper called that timeout. Tennessee's got to go full blown out in a press. You can't let the ball get in bounds. If it comes in bounds now at this point, yeah, you got to use some fouls and you've got to try to get Indiana to the free throw line so that you can create extra possessions for yourself. You cannot allow a lot of time to come off the clock. As soon as the ball goes in, you got to foul right away. You cannot, you got 10 points to make up. You're letting too much time come off the clock, and Indiana's just too good at moving the basketball.
There's about 8 seconds that came off the clock there before Tennessee fouled.
Right, should have fouled down here right away to put him in this situation.
Put Sydney Parrish at the free throw line. Sarah Puckett and Tess Darby back in the game for Tennessee. Indiana shooting 80% from the charity stripe tonight.
Kelly Harper's got 2 timeouts. Choosing not to use them yet to advance. They got to come down, use a drag screen, ball movement. They got to get a quick opportunity to score.
Puckett gets the ball back. Tamari Key calling for it. And breaks down Holmes.
Then you got to foul. You got to foul. It's just taking too much time.
Way too much time off the clock.
Yeah. See, I would think that Tennessee would foul right away to stop the clock. You want to make this game as long as possible.
Let's put Sarah Scalia at the free throw line. Already 14 points for her tonight. Indiana trying to hang on for the last 27.2 seconds to get their first win ever over Tennessee, and just the third meeting between these two programs.
And Indiana has done a terrific job outscoring Tennessee in the paint. They are plus 10 in that category. Tennessee was able to close the gap rebounding-wise. Indiana's only +1, but for the majority of the game, especially in that first half, Indiana owned the glass.
And Chloe Moore McNeil gets the rebound. The Hoosiers going on the road and picking up a top 25 win, taking down Tennessee for the first time ever.
Terrific game plan. That gap defense really kept the ball out of the paint. And then the way that Indiana was able to diversify how they scored buckets, whether it be in the paint or knocking down the three-point shot, and a contribution from just about everybody. in the Crimson and Cream.
Indiana with 5 players in double figures tonight, led by Scalia and Holmes. They both had 16 points apiece, a couple of double-doubles on the evening too. Grace Berger with a double-double, Mackenzie Holmes with that double-double. Indiana comes in, they shoot 44% from the field, and they get the victory over Tennessee tonight. Indiana beating the Lady Vols 79-67. Let's get it back to Zubin.